Welcome to this week's episode of the Caring Generation podcast, How to Preserve Family and Caregiving Relationships Through Eldercare Mediation. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Today we'll be talking about how aging parent health issues can result in caregiving challenges for everyone in the family. I'll be offering caregiving expert solutions that you can use. Are you and your siblings in a constant state of disagreement over care for elderly parents? Is there a controlling sibling who always has to be right? Are siblings or parents unreasonable in their expectations? Are other siblings uninvolved because they don't want to deal with conflict? Sibling relationships can be complicated, especially when the care of elderly parents is at the center of disagreements. If you've tried to talk about the situation in your family and you've not succeeded, is it time to learn more about advocacy for elderly parents and how to preserve family relationships through eldercare mediation, which is the topic of this week's podcast, episode 245 for the Caring Generation. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If you are a return visitor, welcome back. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I'm Pamela D. Wilson, a caregiving expert witness, and advocate for the elderly. I've worked in the caregiving and elder care field professionally for over 25 years. You can learn more about me at my website, PamelaDWilson.com, where you can find the other 244 episodes of this podcast, plus caregiver advice and tips for the elderly, and elder care advice for adults interested in planning for their later years. So let's review what I call a checklist of the education and knowledge you'll gain from this episode about family caregiving relationships and elder care mediation. Number 1, I'll start by explaining what mediation is and offer the end result so that you can see why mediation is really high on the list of family caregiver support tools for resolving differences. 2, I'll offer caregiver and elder care information about the mediation process, which is sometimes known as an elderly advocate service. I'll explain why family elder care mediation can be a solution for children and parents stuck in ongoing disagreements, and the other side of why it's also good for aging parents who might have disagreements with their children. I'll share examples of situations where it can be highly, highly successful. And last but not least, I'll share answers to the most common objections so that if you're interested in mediation, you can convince your siblings, or parents, you can convince your children to join you in a virtual mediation meeting. So let's get started. What is mediation, and if I'm asked to participate, what's in it for me? What's the end benefit or result? Why should I put my time and effort into this? Mediation is a process in which a third party, me or someone else you hire, helps participants who disagree solve the disagreement. While many people think that mediation is the practice of law that requires an attorney, at least in the United States, it does not. There may be 1 or 2 states where this is different, but generally, mediation is not the practice of law. It does not require that you hire an attorney. And I'll explain more about this in a minute because there's a lot of confusion. In the best cases, mediation avoids hiring attorneys, pursuing lawsuits, participating in expensive litigation, and it keeps family members out of court. Families can use mediation without being involved in a lawsuit or the court system. That's one of the benefits of mediation, to avoid lawsuits and involvement with the court system. So, to me, That's the best type of situation. What most consumers hear about mediation is when litigation or legal action is ongoing, or it's already occurred, and the judge tells the disagreeing parties, you shall go to mediation. Being involved in the court system is how most people learn about mediation. And this is why people can develop a negative attitude toward mediation, because they don't want to get involved with the government, the court system, attorneys, adult protective services, or the elder law system. Mediation, it's most commonly ordered for divorces and child custody cases. These are both difficult and often unpleasant life situations. However, mediation is not only limited to marriage and child custody. If you're a family caregiver, you know that disagreements about care for aging parents, elderly parents, often arise the minute that parents need care or help. And at that time, everybody has an opinion about aging matters and caregiving and what long-term care is. Family disagreements happen about money being spent on a parent's care, or the fact that there may not be money to pay for parents' care. Disagreements happen about care, whether it's in a hospital, a nursing home, assisted living community, memory care community, personal care home, or whether a parent is receiving home health care and non-medical in-home care services in their own home. Then there's palliative care, hospice care, other elder care agencies and services like Medicare and Medicaid. The list of topics that families disagree about, specific to caregiving for aging parents, it is a very long and complicated list, which is obviously why people disagree. So private family mediation, not related to the practice of law or involvement in court systems, is very helpful in situations where family dynamics and family drama exists, and it's all overwhelming and challenging. Plus, mediation also works in the workplace when employees or teams disagree. Those disagreements cost productivity and they prevent progress. Mediation is beneficial when business owners have different ideas about their business goals. And it's very helpful in family situations around elder care. So let's look at some examples where mediation can yield positive results, because the statistics are that mediation is successful 85% of the time. So let's look at an example of caregiving responsibilities where one child feels like they're doing all the work or contributing all the money while all the other siblings are going on with their lives. Or one sibling is doing all of the daily care tasks and coordinating medical care while everybody else in the family criticizes. Maybe a sibling was named as the power of attorney for medical or financial affairs, and they seem to be taking over mom and dad's life instead of doing what mom and dad told all of the children they wanted. In this case, other children may be concerned that mom or dad isn't being properly cared for, that mom or dad's wishes aren't being fulfilled, and they want to talk about other care solutions. But the sibling, who is the medical power of attorney agent or financial power of attorney agent or trustee or guardian, that sibling refuses to listen. So as you can see, and maybe you're experiencing, there can be a lot of disagreements around family caregiving for aging parents, for which mediation is a very practical solution. So, to give more information about mediation, again, it is not the practice of law. Attorneys can be mediators, but while they are in the process of mediating, they're not practicing law and they're not acting as an attorney. Mediators are not required to be attorneys or to have a law degree. I'm an eldercare mediator, and I am not an attorney, even though I have experience with the legal system because I was a professional fiduciary. I was a court-appointed guardian, conservator, medical and financial power of attorney agent, trustee, and personal rep of the estate. It's very important to know that private eldercare family mediation is voluntary. And so I'm differentiating private eldercare family mediation from court-ordered mediation where the judge says you shall go to mediation. My recommendation, use mediation so that you don't end up in court, so that you don't need attorneys, so that you don't have a judge or an arbitrator making decisions for you and your family and telling you what you shall do. Family members who participate in mediation do so because they want to preserve family relationships. Many realize that they are at a point where communication has just gone sideways. No one is talking. Everyone is avoiding each other. And siblings are moving toward the brink of never wanting to speak to or see each other again. That doesn't have to happen. And I know that this does happen because I have 25 years of professional experience working in elder care and caregiving, and a lot of experience with families in my virtual elder care consulting practice. Another common question from families is, how long does mediation take? Well, the actual mediation meeting can take between 2 to 4 hours, depending on the number of topics, and then add another 1 to 2 to maybe 3 to 4 hours for pre-work and post-work that I'll explain in a minute. So the reason to do it is the end game is a simple agreement, simple terms. No legalese or legal words that people can't understand. That won't work. For example, the agreement says this is the problem and this is what we have specifically agreed to do about it. These are my responsibilities. These are your responsibilities. This is what we agreed to do together by this date in this time frame because we all love mom or dad. Or we have agreed to this. Our understanding is this is what our parents want for their care. They are naming a professional fiduciary. They are setting aside money to care for someone in the family. We children understand this and we agree. And so, in addition to the objections that I'll share later, this is why your family members may initially say no if you bring up the idea of mediation. It's because, probably what you thought, because mediation is often thought to be the practice of law or a legal process. People who don't know that it is not might jump to conclusions about what mediation is or it isn't. And they think that you're trying to trick them. There's no trickery involved. What's involved is transparency and communication and working together, because it's that lack of transparency and not working together that creates all of these family disagreements. Family members may automatically refuse to participate if mediation is suggested because they have these preconceived notions, assumptions, lack of accurate information. They've seen something crazy on television or on the front page of the newspaper. So part of your job, if you are a family member who wants to suggest mediation, is to educate and inform, whether you are educating and informing your siblings or your parents, or whether you are a parent and you want to inform your adult children about why you want them to come to mediation. You can say, mediation is a process in which a third party, Pamela D. Wilson or somebody else we hire, helps family caregivers and members who disagree to solve their disagreements privately, confidentially, so that we don't have to get involved with the legal system or the law or attorneys or adult protective services. An elder care mediator facilitates safe discussions where everyone's opinions are heard. Family members have their voices heard. They identify and define problems, prioritize the problems, agree upon solutions, and commit to making them happen. At the end of the mediation meeting, the mediator takes out a piece of paper, writes a simple agreement that everyone who participates signs to confirm their willingness to participate. Sometimes that document is called a mediation agreement or a memorandum of understanding. That document is a binding agreement. It can be used to hold each other accountable for agreed upon actions and behaviors after the mediation. The pre-work that I mentioned before that comes before mediation may be just a short pre-mediation meeting to explain the process. It's everyone reading and signing a mediation agreement that confirms their willingness to participate, the confidentiality, the fact that, if you do want to hire an attorney to do this, you can certainly do that, but that is not what you're doing here. And you're confirming that all the information remains confidential. Now let's look at why parents might be interested in family mediation. And it's because of issues that arise when there are family concerns about, for example, a child who's financially dependent on the parent. Maybe because this child has never launched, maybe because they were born with a disability at birth. And this is causing problems with children in the family. The parents want to set aside money to take care of this child today and after they're gone. And on the other side, the children may want some type of an agreement with the parents that this sibling is not going to prevent the parents from selling their house if they need money to pay for their care. This child is not going to be living in the parents' house. The goal is on both sides. Parents may want to protect this children financially, but children also don't want this child to become a problem around the care for the parents. And this is really one of the more difficult situations around elder care needs and paying for care in families. Other situations, parents may want to compensate or pay a child to be their caregiver who is quitting their job to live with them and be a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week caregiver. And the parents concerned that their other children might not agree with this decision. Truly, some children are more interested in their financial inheritance, the money they get, than parents paying for their own care, especially giving money to a sibling. That's another difficult situation. So other discussions can revolve around parents making decisions they know their children won't like. This could be naming a professional to be a power of attorney agent or a trustee, a potential guardian, or conservator. So the mediation can be used as a process to help adult children accept the parents' decisions without a knockdown, drag-out fight, and to agree to not pursue litigation, to fight or contest a parent's wishes, or contest an estate or will after parents pass away, because these are the reasons that most people end up in court. Another mediation might be agreeing on the details of a care agreement. For example, parents may be expecting too much from a son or daughter, and the son or daughter wants or needs to commit less time. So the mediation between the children and the parents may be about looking at options for the care of a parent that doesn't involve more of the children's time, but other resources, and how everyone will figure out what that plan is. So children may say, I can only give you 5 hours a week. And after 5 hours, you have to hire help or consider moving into an assisted living community or look at Medicaid if there's no money to pay for care. So mediation actually can solve a lot of the parents don't want to plan for their care. Parents expect us to take care of them. I don't want to be their caregiver. The topics for mediation can be quite broad, and they can solve a lot of these family disagreements. So now let's talk about number 2, why mediation may be beneficial for your family. Under this one, mediation has a very high success rate, 85%, because family members are involved, they have input, and a court, judge, or jury or arbitrator is not making decisions for them. Next, mediation has a much lower cost than going to court, which, if you don't know, can cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or believe it or not, sometimes millions, depending on the complexity of the case. So if your family wants to solve a disagreement through a proven, confidential, private process outside of court, consider mediation. Next, mediation is confidential. Family members who attend agree to keep all information confidential because they sign a confidentiality agreement. It's also private. So unlike going to court, there's no posted schedules with your name or your family's name on them for a hearing on a bulletin board or on the court website, nor are there any other legal documents completed and filed with the court. As I mentioned before, mediation is voluntarily. Family members who voluntarily participate are more likely to hold to their agreements after mediation. And the best thing is it allows family members to be creative in coming up with solutions to problems. Now, there are situations where mediation is off the table. This includes any type of child abuse, elder abuse, neglect, financial exploitation, stealing, or other known criminal activity, because those require a formal investigation. Mediation is not an investigation. The bottom line is that eldercare mediation in a private family situation outside of court gives family members hope for the future. It can also strengthen or repair family relationships so that even after parents are gone, children still like each other. Family mediation can convince or validate with parents the reasons that children are concerned and why parents should make a plan today and not rely on some accident, and then the family's in crisis and people are trying to plan. So let's talk about what eldercare mediation is not. It is not a forum for talk therapy. It does not focus on the past. While a mediator will recognize emotions, the focus of the meeting is on the future and on identifying and solving problems. So if you have an emotional issue that you want to deal with that is best suited for counseling or a therapy appointment, not suited for mediation. Now let's talk about objections. Why family members, your siblings, your parents, your children may say, I'm not going to participate in mediation. Oh, before I forget, I know we're limited for time. There's more detailed information on the website page for this podcast episode 245 about this topic. To find the page, go to my website, PamelaDWilson.com, click on the Media tab, then the Caring Generation, scroll down the page to find episode 245. There will also be a video there, links to other helpful caregiving articles. So the number one reason family members refuse mediation is that they don't want to compromise. They don't want to get along. They believe that involving a third party to provide support is a sign of weakness. Participating in mediation is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of wisdom. The problem that you have, all it means is that your family's deadlocked. You don't agree. And it's often because emotions or personal perceptions or positions are making it difficult to identify the problem and solve it. There are times when people are too close to a problem and they can't see their way out, or they just don't know about other options. A third party from the outside can help families consider options that they might not otherwise have thought about, especially if the mediator that you choose has experience and expertise in the topic of caregiving for elderly persons, aging adults, or people with disabilities. So another objection is, well, we've already tried mediation. It's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a waste of money. Experienced, private, family, eldercare mediators are often agents of reality for problems that family members face. And so while mediation is different from a care planning session or a care counseling session that offers advice, the options that family members develop during mediation are tested for practicality and the ability to be implemented. So, to my earlier point, if a family member suggests an option that the mediator knows will not work due to prior elder care or caregiving experience, maybe it's Medicare regulations, Medicaid, nursing home regulations, home care regulations, or some other system-related restriction, the mediator will mention this, and then they can help the family reframe solutions to the problem and concerns so that people can come to an agreement. Objection 3 is, well, why don't we just go to court? Well, if you've never been to court, it is no picnic. Finding an attorney to represent you in court can be complicated. Not every family member has the money to hire an attorney. So if that's the case and one of your siblings has money for an attorney, or you don't, you can imagine what's going to happen. The sibling with the attorney is more likely to win. I've been in court many times because I was a professional fiduciary. It's stressful, it's time-consuming, and honestly, you never know what the outcome is going to be. So mediation can be viewed as a negotiation process because once there is a solution and everybody agrees to it, and there's an agreement and everybody signs it, it's a binding agreement. So reaching an agreement through mediation rather than going to court, having a judge, a jury, somebody else decide, usually results in better outcomes for the family than a win-lose situation. It's also way stressful, less expensive, less time-consuming. Next objection. My sister or brother or mom and dad is unreasonable and they will never agree. Well, how do you know if you don't ask them? And if they were being reasonable, then you wouldn't have a disagreement. So how many times have you sat down in your family with all of these people or gotten together on a virtual call to discuss the situation? If I had to guess, it might not be too many times, and you probably haven't been successful. So when you did that, did you have an agenda to focus on the problem and the future? Or were all the discussions around emotions and what happened in the past? That's where so many family members get stuck. Focusing on a better future option opens the doors to possibilities. That is the focus of private family elder care mediation. Next objection. Well, mediation, it sounds expensive. The cost of mediation is usually shared equally between family members, which makes the cost manageable. Again, much less expensive and stressful than going to court for formal litigation that can drag on for years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, $1 million. Mediation can usually be scheduled within a short time frame, usually within 30 days, depending on the availability of those who can attend and the ability for people to fill out a pre-mediation survey. In my case, not all mediators do that. And these days, with virtual mediation, it's easier for everybody to get together regardless of where they live. So you don't have to wait for people to travel to mom and dad's house or try to get to somewhere after work. All you have to do is have an internet connection and access to Zoom. Oh, before I forget, please do help the Caring Generation podcast reach more listeners worldwide. Before you leave the show today, click on your podcast app, leave a positive review, even if it's only to say thanks for the show. Every single review helps the show rank higher in the ratings so that more people can find it. So I thank you for helping the Caring Generation podcast make a difference. Next objection. Mediation doesn't work. Nobody's going to agree. When family members get together to talk, instead of sending emails, leaving voicemails, sending text messages, and hiding behind technology, which family caregivers tell me becomes annoying and overwhelming, family members often find something they agree about. For example, we all care for mom and dad. We want them to have what they want. So the next question is, how do we solve problem A and B to make this happen, and how do we all contribute? When no one agrees, what happens is one sibling may be exerting more control. Others may feel like they're not on equal footing. Some siblings may have just mentally or physically checked out. In these situations, it's difficult to hold a family meeting without a third party who has no interest in the results, who can ensure that everybody has an opportunity to speak and to limit the discussion to the future. Families get stuck in these unproductive discussions that spiral into emotional issues, so they never get to the problem. All of these concerns are managed through private family elder care mediation, which is the next topic, the process. So the first step is to educate yourself and your family about mediation, what it is, what it isn't, how it can help, how the process works, how long it takes, what's in it for everybody. You can honestly just share this podcast and the podcast page on my website. Go to Pamela D. Wilson, click on the Media tab, the Caring Generation, scroll down to episode 245, copy that hyperlink and send it to your family members, because on that page there will be a video and additional information. So once everybody agrees, you can contact me, or even before everybody agrees. If you just want information, complete the contact form on my website. It's under the contact button. But in a perfect world, share the information with your family. Your family members are like, yes, we think this is a good idea. So go to the page, contact page on my website, under the contact tab, check the mediation option button, include what the problem is, who is interested in participating. I'll contact whoever contacts me, explain the process, the costs, and we move ahead from there. Everybody then receives the same information: confidentiality form, a survey, invoice link. Everybody agrees on a date and a time. On the day of mediation, there's a brief introduction. We read through ground rules. Typical ground rules are nobody interrupts, nobody criticizes. We're focusing on the future, not the past. The end of this is an agreement. The goal is an agreement. Then everybody has a certain amount of time to share their information, their opinions, identify problems, prioritize problems. The group agrees on which problems to solve first, talk about potential ideas, options, agree on solutions, and then we look at, are these solutions practical? Are they reasonable? Will everybody do them? At the end, an agreement. The goal is for everybody to feel optimistic and empowered to work together with a better understanding of how to resolve future disagreements or conflicts in the family without a mediator. Obviously, you're welcome to come back to mediation again, but that's the goal. So basically, we have worked our way from the beginning of this topic to the end, back to the beginning. So next steps. You can help others learn more about mediation. If you want to schedule a virtual elder care consultation or are interested in mediation, go to the contact form on my website, PamelaDWilson.com. Check a button. There's also another page for virtual elder care consultation under the services tab. It's called Elder Care Consultation. Separately, if you're looking for more information, just general information about caregiving, aging, health, healthcare, family dynamics, legal caregiving responsibilities, and the financial considerations of paying for care, Medicare, Medicaid, long-term care, visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com. Plenty of free information there. My book, The Caregiving Trap, transcripts for all of these Caring Generation podcast episodes, 3 free online courses, my caregiving library, my blog, more links to videos. Also check out my YouTube channel. There are over 1,000 videos there. Thanks to all of the caregivers who send questions to me for those videos. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. You are here with me on the Caring Generation podcast. Please, before you go, open up your podcast app, leave a positive review so that you can help others find their way here and help this podcast rank higher to find more people and help more people who are dealing with caregiving and aging issues. I look forward to being with you all again soon. God bless you all. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow and enjoy each day until we are here together again.